morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And you'll see that many of the moves that we were looking for yesterday have come to fruition. We've seen the Aussie dollar come to exactly where we were looking for here on the bias chart, which was 71.11. We're there right now. We've seen the dollar CAD come to right where we're looking for, to the pip actually, 33.36. Some of us we got long to get at that time yesterday. Other moves also, like the Aussie yen, that came to right where we're looking for. We're looking for a move down to the 79.50 we saw with the break of the trend line here. So we're just, a lot of y'all only returned for Easter holiday today. We did have a resistance share. So we mentioned about this 1885 in the chat room. We dropped back from there. We're now trying to make a push from there. You're relatively quiet here, and we think the dollar will continue to make its ascension. Let's go on and take a look at the news. Like I said, this is really just an extension from yesterday, so a lot of this information has already been covered, and we've already reached these targets already. So it's just a matter of what the market wants to do. So we made it to 71.11. So we made it here to the pip. So what do we do from here? That's it. So let's go on and move into the news, and we'll just, like I said, see what these markets want to do from here. Okay, no respite for May as the Brexit woes mount. Britain's politicians returned to Westminster today after the Easter break with nothing resolved on Brexit, and PM Theresa May's position looking more tenuous than ever. Talks aimed at reaching a cross-party deal on the arrangement of Britain's departure resume, but nothing indicates the divergences have narrowed since the last meeting. Separately, lawmakers in May's Conservative Party are due to meet to discuss a possible rule change that will allow them to get rid of her swiftly in the event of a rout in next month's European Parliament elections. That outcome looks increasingly likely as polls point to a strong start for the unambiguously named Brexit Party of anti-EU campaigner Nigel Farage. Meanwhile, watch out for possible announcements that a U.S. President Donald Trump will be invited for a full state visit to the UK in June. Last night's televised debate between the main candidates of Spain's general election next Sunday was an ill-tempered affair that, among other things, raised questions about how and many of them could form a coalition with the others after the vote, in keeping with a campaign where the economy has been largely off the radar. The main point of contention was Catalonia's independence drive. I'm not really interested in any of that stuff. Italy will inevitably be a major focus today as the European Union releases data on member states' 2018 debt and deficit ratios as part of its assessment whether they comply with Eurozone rules. With the Italian economy having fallen into a technical recession in the last quarter of 2018 and spending set to rise, Brussels has repeatedly warned Rome of the need to rein in its finances. Well, this is something that goes on, that's been going on since for the longest of time. Nothing changes. Okay, moving on to the markets. Surging oil prices grabbed some attention on world markets as London traders returned after a 4-day Easter break, with Brent crude hitting new 5-month highs after the United States tightened sanctions on Iran's oil exports by announcing it would remove waivers offered 8 countries still trading with Tehran. Stock markets remain buoyant, nudging higher on Wall Street and across Asia overnight, and set to open up 0.2% higher in Europe. Shanghai steadied after losses of more than 2% on Monday as last week's robust first quarter of Chinese GDP numbers prompted some speculation about a slowing of the policy easing in place to offset the effects of the trade war with Washington. In Europe, meantime, there was some time of recovery in bond yields after last week's disappointing flash business surveys for April. ECB member Benoit Serre said he saw no reason to create tiered deposit rates for the ECB, move many markets have assumed is the ECB's next step as a tier 2 offset banks the effects of extended proof of negative interest rates. U.S. yields nudged lower after poor home sales numbers on Monday, with the yield curve 3 months to 10 years flattening towards zero. Back taught its lowest since the rare inversion in late March. U.S. equities were only up about 1% shy of record highs. However, as the first quarter earnings in S&P 500 are expected to drop 1.7% year over year in what would be the first earnings contraction since 2016. The dollar was generally firmer as the euros tick lower. And the Porter April PMIs, Japanese yen outperformed, steadily remained near its lowest level since March 11th. So let's go and move into FX. Dollar gains as FX volatility drops. Dollar held near 3-week highs on Tuesday, with 10-year yields up by more than 20 basis points. Broader markets were quiet as financial markets opened after the Easter holiday. We're in a very range-bound market, with the broader picture being more positive for the dollar relative to the euro after the weaker Eurozone PMI manufacturing last week, said Ulrich Luckman. Data released overnight showed U.S. existing home sales fell more than expected in March. Those may provide some pointers to the state of the U.S. economy. A clear picture should emerge from the gross domestic product set to release on Friday. And it puts on here, support for the dollar came amid a general drop in market volatility. Expected moves in the euro-dollar exchange rate over a one-month period held near a 5-year low of 4.50 volatility. And let's go and move in. As I mentioned, really this is just an extension of just yesterday, so I'm not sure that there's really going to be any changes that we can offer here. For if you saw the webinar yesterday, or if you missed it, then basically it's just a recap of yesterday. Hang on. These moves have already come to fruition. So we'll look at the euro dollar. We're kind of working a little bit lower in the euro. We're not going to cover the FX analysis because that covers over from yesterday into the rest of the week. So no changes here in the euro. We did, stall into this 1260. On the bias chart, we had 1280. That would be as far as it could extend. Potentially, we're looking for a move, where they'll find some support is 1215. The Asian analysis, we're looking for an overall move once again to that 1149. So once again, 1215, no changes here in the euro. Same thing's going to be here for the cables. Like I said, this is really just a replay of yesterday's, webinar to a certain extent. You can see here that we're not even moving here in the cable. Cable is trading essentially in a 20 pip trading range for the most part for literally for half a day. So there's no movement here in the cable. So we go into the bias chart, 29.16 on the upside, on the downside, 30.64 bearish, no changes there. Let's move into the Aussie dollar. Once again, if you were here for the new yesterday's webinar, we're looking for a move to 71.11. Well, right now, here we are at 71.11. So we've already hit our what we're looking for. Now, we did say there's a potential for a move down to 70.68. That's the Asian analysis, but there's no changes here. We've already hit our 71.10. So I'm not going to say now we're going to turn around and follow again now to 70.68. Look, we've reached our bias chart support. Probably get a little bit of short covering here. So really no changes on this one either. And as far as resistance, that will just move it to 71.48. So that target's already been hit. We'll have to let the market go on and reset itself and see what it wants to do from there. Let's now go and move into the Kiwi. We said we had supported 66.53. That's where we're at right now, so no changes here. We're just about there. We're at 66.57, so we're 4 pips away from support. No changes here in the Kiwi. As far as resistance, well, we had a resistance here. We mentioned here is that in order to slow down the momentum, they would need a daily close above 67.66. We have a resistance here at 67.26. As I said, support comes in at 66.53. We're just about 4 pips from that. So no changes there on the Kiwi. Now let's go and move in here to the QEN. Okay, we're looking for a move down here to 74.55. We've already just eclipsed that 74.55 here. We're at 74.48 for right now. The only difference is we're right here. We have a key major level here coming in at the 74 cents. Really, this whole area is a good little volume area between 34 and 47. So the only thing we'll do is we'll just inch it down a little bit lower here, which is 74.40. So we'll just move that only 15 pips lower. And the resistance will be up here at 74.82. As I said, if you missed yesterday's, really, this is just basically it's just a recap of yesterday, because some of these moves have already come into fruition. So we've hit these levels, so we're not going to adjust them. Okay, we'll have, as I said, like with the Aussie, got down to 71. We're actually 71.12 right now with the Aussie. Our target was 71.11 as far as for our support, where we thought the market would go to. And I think there's a potential for the Aussie to get down to 70.68 potentially, but right now we got to see this reaction, probably get a little bit of a bounce off of that 71.11 here. So a lot of these moves, as I said, they've just materialized over the last 24 hours. So we're looking for in the buyer's chart. So now let's go and move into the dollar CAD. Here's another move that was, once again, it's already materialized. We're looking for, quite a few of us got long at this area here, the 33.36. Here's the chart. I posted several times. We went there. I think we took it out by 1 pip, and we were getting long at 33.36. I've already jumped out, but you can see here that was a very good area here. Essentially hit it right to the pip. Nice little hammer bottom that we posted at the time in the chat room. I've already jumped out. I wish I hadn't jumped out. Well, I know we've got the Bank of Canada tomorrow, so I jumped out a little bit prematurely. I guess I was going to give it a chance, because not give it a chance, but I didn't want to stick around too long since crude oil is still holding up very well, or holding up towards its highs. Although I have to give the dollar CAD credit because it's still trying to push higher. But here's another one. Same thing. We had 33.36. Upside, no changes here. Upside right here is going to be the 33.93. There it is, 33.36. Caught that one down there. No changes here. There's the support there. So no changes here in the dollar CAD. Like I said, many people are really, it was only us in the States that were here. So a lot of people are coming back from their 4-day holiday. So like I said, we've already made these moves. So really, it's just a matter of just letting these markets react after hitting this. So like I said, same thing here with the Aussie. We hit that 71.11. The low you can see right there is 71.10. So we're off by 1 pip. Well, potentially for the rest of the week, there's a move down to 70.68, but we're not moving that. We're saying, hey, look, the support is still 71.11, and we'll see if we react from here, and then we'll figure out where we go from there. So no changes there. So if you were short the Aussie, that was going to be a great place to cover, which was our what we're looking for, which was 71.11. So you'd be off by 1 pip. Let's go and move into the dollar peso. This one is starting to move up a little bit here. We post this in the chat room also. It was coming up against this resistance level here at 1885, 7, and then we saw this market dip down here, and now we're trying to push a little higher. But we did mention about the exponential moving averages, the things have started to change. See here, and now it's giving us a little bit more room to the upside. We mentioned before that we would need a daily close above 1887 to get a pause in this downside momentum. This is one that will change at this point now. So resistance for right now, we'll go with 1892. This is a bigger resistance, but 1892. And support will come in right there at 1882, right there. So no changes there. Momentum has changed here, so we're starting to get some more follow through. This is the only one that's actually since yesterday of any material. So actually, when we go through our bias chart, we actually have to come all the way down to the dollar peso before we make any meaningful change here. And that was just only on the upside here. Let's go into the dollar yen. If you, like I said yesterday, you saw our Asian analysis, or you saw it over the weekend, coming into the week. I've been talking about this dollar yen. I just haven't believed this dollar yen. I know a lot of people believed it. I simply just didn't believe it. I ended up, from a technical standpoint, covered my position, but I simply didn't believe it. And we went through the whole issue as to why. We got above this 1187 and the market simply hasn't done anything. Now we did see a slide. We talked about that yesterday. We mentioned that this thing could start to make a move. We even had our support here at 1136. We had an intraday support around 1160, but we went with the 1136 in case this market pulls back. We saw a pullback in equities. Well, we really haven't seen a pullback in equities, but we did see this dollar yen hit these stops, and essentially because this market has simply not done anything at that 1187. So it doesn't look like much on a daily basis, but when we look at it here on the intraday basis, during the Asian session, we did see this market slide down here, right into that 1162 area here. It actually comes in 63, but we're looking potentially for the move down here to 1136. Upside, we're keeping still capped at 1226. And once again, no real changes here on this one. It's 1162. Actually, I didn't even see that. We did have 1162. Holy smokes. I thought we'd gone with it. I guess we did go and keep that. So we had 1162 and the low's been 1165. So this one we will move in case we do get that break lower. So once again, a lot of these moves have just come to fruition. So I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the webinar. So really, there's nothing here that we're changing very much from the day before. Let's go move into the cash dollar index. Really no changes here in the dollar index either. When you look at it, same thing. We'll give it a little bit more talk to because it's very key. We looked at it on a 1 month. You can see we're at a very key level. That 97.89 is not only a key weekly level, it's also a key monthly level here, 97.89. We'll look at here on the weekly. And I believe that we'll make it to that 97.89. What they do with it afterwards, I don't know, but 97.89 is a 61%. I think that we mentioned also that we have the most bulls since 2016, so it seems likely that they'll make that push. The same way it looks like the euro would continue to slide back. But we shall see here. You're just in trade. We're trading at a very tight range. I mean, very, very tight range. We're showing here that the volatility is the lowest in 5 years. And like I said, this market just doesn't even move practically. So no changes here on the dollar index. $97.45. And let me take a look at something real quick. I refresh my screen and that just seems like it should be higher or that it was higher. Hold on. No, that's it. 97.45. I'm looking at and 96.98 for the downside. So this is going to stay the same, and we're kind of blipping up in here, but we did have 97.45. So no changes here on the cash dollar index. Let's move into the gold market. And like I said, some of these markets, we did make our moves into those price levels, and some are just very, very, very quiet. So when we take a look at gold, same thing. There's no movement here in the gold market. You can see here, so we've stayed very, very quiet, trading in what, a $4 range over the last 20 hours or so. So it's same thing here. There's no change. It's probably going to be the fastest European crossover ever. 1267. So as the rest of the globe comes back from Easter, we're just now starting to get some of the movements, or some have just completed. So 1267 is the downside. 1285 is going to be the upside. We can probably narrow this a little bit, move that down, which is going to be 1280. So there will be a change there. But really no movement at all here. So we'll probably start to get a little bit of movement. Like I said, there's some movement here in the cross rates, but like I said, here in these majors, there's no movement here at all. So we'll move into the crosses because there's, like I said, most of these moves are just completed. So Well, looking here on the euro pound, we did have 86.64, so we did get just a hair bit below that. We got up to as high as 86.76. This one we will just move it up just a hair higher, which would be 86.74. So it's just going to be just 10 pips higher here on the euro pound. And this seems like a long way down here, this 86.21, but if we do go on and finally break a little bit lower here, we may see this market push a little bit higher, push down. But for right now, we're trading fairly tight. I don't want to. This is a little bit silly to move this, you know, to a point where we're just basically a spit away, 20 pips away from support. I think we're going to have to go and move this down here, which is going to be down here, which we kept already, is the 86.21. So we already have that in place. So there's no changes there here, although we did move the upside just up 10 pips. So we did make it down here to 38% here on the euro yen. Here's another one that just came to fruition, so nothing's going to change. We had 25.58 for support. The low was 25.58. So that came to the pip. So there's no changes here. I mean, like I said, this is what we're talking about when compared to the Aussie. When you come here, we're not going to lower it. We've met our, our bias chart support / target, so to speak. Now we rally off it and we see where we move from there. So this still remains the same. This hit it just right to the pip. And on the upside, we had given it up to the 26.30 up in here if they want to push it higher. Resistance now, will come in right there, 26.11, 26.11. So this will get lowered. You can see here we've made it to that 38%. And we're getting a little bit of a bounce back off of that. We'll move into the euro odd. Now this one's offered a little bit more of a move. Obviously the weakness that we're seeing here in the Aussie dollar. Now, let's say when we look at the Aussie, it's at least for the Aussie versus the dollar, it's coming to some support. I'm not sure how much further this will push back up. So right here, right there. Oh, we got 58.18. Can we push up a little bit higher? We've already had a pretty good move here. Let's take a look here. We'll just go right here with this level here, which is going to be 58.34. Now we do have a little bit of resistance right here where we're at. But if they want to stretch a little bit further, it's going to be 58.34. And on the lower end, on any pullbacks, be the market base support at 57.74. But we have turned the corner right here in this exponential moving average. So be trying to buy the dips on this, and let's go look at the Euro Kiwi. $69.16, and that's also the 38%. We're being plausible for them to try and take out these stops here. So we'll go right there at 69.45, which should be just above this high right here. Right there, 69.45. Support would be right there at 67.94. I'm going to move into the Aussie yen. This one is another one that has already reached its objective here. Now in our analysis we were having, we started out with, we said we'd get We got the close below the trend line. We're looking for a move, and I don't know how we got to 79.82. That should not be right. Let me take a look at something real quick. That's what it shows here, but because we were saying with a break to here, we're looking at 79.50, which confluences with 79.60. 79.50 is at 38%, and we got down to what looks like the market got as low as about 51. So let's move this to 79.50. It should be 50. And I guess because we were saying it would take in order for the market to get above to make a move the next leg higher, we said we'd have to get 2 consecutive daily closes above 80.48. That'd be a pretty tall order. Resistance here comes in at 80.07, actually even lower there. It's going to be 79.98. 79.98. And although it's in a buy mode overall in the daily, because it broke, we're going to move this to neutral. So we're still in the buy mode. We talked about this yesterday. We said there'll be buyers that we want to come down here. You can see we came down here right to that 79.50 right there. And we were seeing how that was confluencing with the 79.60, but we were in a buy mode. They'd be looking to pick this up on any dip. So once again, you get down there at that level, they'd be looking to come back. Hang on. Next is the starting versus again. And we had 45.27 here for the support. We did mention we had the possibility to move down here to this 45.03, and it looks like it wanted to get there. Well, that was our support right here. It's 45.03. I mean, it's got to be our support. And we were hanging around here, remember yesterday, but we said there was this possibility that they may want to run down to 45.03. So let's move this down to that technical level of 45.03. Upside resistance. It's going to be right there. 45.51. Right there. 45.51 for today. You can see here we're still in a big sell mode right here on the exponential moving average on the 2 hour. Let's take a look at here on the 30-minute. We've just crossed over into a buy mode here on the 30-minute. We still have the opportunity to move higher in here. And here's that resistance there. You see that? 45.51. Nice little level there. But we're entrenched in this. Look at that exponential moving average. And it respects it very well. Look at this, how we were in the stealth mode and stayed that way until we flipped the buy. And once we flipped the buy, boy, it just made that move. Same thing here in the sell. So it's definitely a trending type market here on this medium term, this 2 hour. Look at that. Once it gets going, same thing here, it stays for a while. So certainly you want to keep an eye on this 2 hour exponential moving averages. And let's go into the sterling Australia. And this generated a buy signal a couple days back, and we'll continue to move higher here. We had a resistance from yesterday because it was still bearish at 82.07. Well, we're finally starting to break out a little bit here. And we've also flipped the exponential moving averages. So let's take a look at to see where would this one could go to now that it's starting to get on the buying mode. Well, we're coming in right into this 23%, so probably see a little bit of a pause. And don't forget, we're running into a little bit of support here in the Aussie. So we're going to actually go to 23% here, which is going to be right there at 82.77. Actually just came pretty close to clipping it. That'll be our... Let's go mark that off. There we go. Let's see a little bit of a pullback from there. And support's going to come in right there, 82.07. Overall, still in a bearish mode, but things have turned up with the exponential moving average here. You can see that on the 2-hour. And lastly, let's go and move into the CAD yen. Well, this is going to remain the same, 83.58. Looks like the low was 83.54. Sort of by a few pips. Well, I guess it was 4 pips here, but we're trading in a very, very tight range. Resistance. We'll go with, well, there we already have it, 83.89, and we're trading in a range. So another change here. Okay, let's go and switch in. We'll take a look on the, take a quick look where crude oil's at. One's starting to slide, which is helping the euro find a little bid. You can see here, but look at this crude oil. Right on its highs. Some resistance comes in at 66.58. We still got about another 60 cents to go before, and really potentially we can go right up in here. Here's more important, 67.71. So you can still move another 60 cents without finding some significant, a little bit of resistance, and potentially we have the opportunity going to move up here to 67.71. Right there. We've already gone past the 61%. 69, 62 would be the 78%. And potentially we could go there because if you think about it, we didn't even see much of a correction at all from the 61%. That suggests we can move up to this next level. So as I said, we can still go another 60 cents without even much of a pause. A little bit of thing, take out that 66, but that makes a little more sense. So like I said, about 60 cents. There'll be a little bit of a push here, a few pennies higher, but another 60 cents, and then potentially where we start to see a little bit more is at 67.81. So you're talking about $1.80. Potentially you can move $1.80 higher before we actually see some resistance. And because we didn't pause much at the 61%, really opens the door for them to challenge that 78%. You have to wonder how much this is going to go on impact on the dollar CAD. S&Ps are still holding up very well. Although, like I said, it appears to me that the dollar yen is questioning that as it was able to slide. Not a whole lot, but it's really opened the door for them to potentially move lower. But we are still hanging around here, up here at this S&Ps. And DAX is holding up very well also. Moving back into the majors. You can see the euro trying to give a little bit of a push here. And not even much. I'm just saying we just picked ourselves up. We just made a new low. We just picked ourselves up a little bit off of those lows by about about 15 pips, I guess. Maybe not even quite that much. Nothing significant. Look at the dollar yen. It came into this 11.95 and here it is sliding back down. Dollar peso has moved just a little bit higher. Resistance comes in at this 18.92. And cable's just staying as quiet as can be. We do know that we've been trading here. We'll finish up with cable at the pivot, the daily pivot. Now, we were saying before is that if we could, from yesterday, if we can break past this pivot, we think we'll potentially make a move down here to the 28.34. Now, if we get a weekly close below this pivot, which is a 29.80, then we're looking for a move down here around 26.16. Basically, we'd just be taking the extension here of this range and extend it lower. But that'd be a weekly close below that pivot of 29.80, and we know how important that is. With that, we'll go on and end the webinar. Good luck trading. I'll go and get this posted. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover.